When you look at recent activity in the industry, there certainly is a strong premium for these types of assets. And we're bringing one online in the next 2 years. We don't have to go out and buy it. We just have to build it. And I'm really excited about the prospect.
Hello to viewers and welcome to Assay TV. We're catching up with IAMGOLD in this session. We'll be focusing on some updates with the construction around the Côté project, a robust Tier 1 project in Ontario. So I'm delighted to be speaking with Gordon Stothart, President and CEO of IAMGOLD. Hi Gordon, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you very much.
Yeah, good to be speaking with you again. Since we last spoke, IAMGOLD's been very busy, obviously. You've recently announced an update on the technical report for Côté Gold Project and announced a maiden resource at Gosselin. Could you give us an update on the project and what it means to IAMGOLD?
Sure. Well, as you mentioned, Côté really is a Tier 1 multi-generational asset being built right in the heart of mining country in Canada. We're about 125 kilometers southwest of the city of Timmins and about 175 kilometers north of Sudbury. So right in between the two largest mining cities in the province of Ontario. Obviously gives us great access to skilled labor pool, connection to services, mine support systems, all kinds of great stuff. The project is a 70-30 joint venture between IAMGOLD and Sumitomo Metal Mining out of Japan. Current mine life before any reserve additions is 18 years, and that's based on a reserve base of a little over 7 million ounces, annual production of just under 500,000 ounces for years 1 to 5, and about 367,000 ounces per year on a life of mine basis, on a 100% basis. So life of mine average all-in sustaining costs of $800 per ounce. And we really do believe this is just the start. Côté has district scale potential with exploration upside. As you mentioned, we just came out with the new resource on Gosselin, located adjacent to the Côté pit. And I'm very excited about that. With Gosselin, our total mineral inventory at Côté now stands at about 13.5 million ounces of M&I, plus an additional 5.5 million ounces of inferred material. So really starting to head towards a extremely significant deposit in world terms, and we're excited. We're excited for the prospects, given that Gosselin really is just our first step outside of Côté. On the analysis in the technical report we'll be releasing, we show a discounted value of about $1.6 billion, assuming a $1,600 long-term gold price on a 100% basis. And even our share at current prices, our share of NPV is $1.6 billion at current prices. So that's it's pretty exciting for us.
Yeah, fantastic. It's excellent progress there. Just thinking about some of the broader benefits for the communities there, what does this mean for Northern Ontario? Thinking sort of more around the ESG aspects of this project.
Well, certainly a lot of excitement in the region around Côté, a very positive response. Look, as we do anywhere in the world under our zero harm vision, we've really strived to run Côté with very strong ESG underpinning, strong environmental plans, positive support from our Indigenous partners at Matagami First Nation and Flying Post First Nation, as well as working with the Métis Nation of Ontario. Our JV partner Sumitomo has a very similar viewpoint on the world and how to work mining in the most advantageous ESG stance possible. And obviously the local communities are excited. Cote, before Gosselin, is slated to create over $5 billion in wages through direct and indirect job creation for the area. So that's obviously huge. We're currently envisaging about over 450 full-time jobs during operations. And for the construction phase right now, next summer, we would expect to peak at about 1,400 jobs. So very important for the region, given the size of the population. And we expect to be a strong citizen in the region for many, many years to come.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, well, focusing in on that construction phase that you mentioned, you mentioned that construction is on schedule. Could you discuss some of the recent milestones, that you've achieved this year, and perhaps what we could expect as the next round of milestones?
So project completion at the end of Q3 stood at 36% overall. We remain on track for production in the second half of 2023. Detailed engineering at the end of Q3 was 85% complete. We've been very busy this year. Early in the year, we kicked off earthworks on site. We were actually able to kick it off a couple of months early, so that's very strong for us. Been a lot of work on site on the earthwork side. Obviously, all of the preparatory earthworks at the plant site were completed earlier this year, or for the most part completed earlier this year. Building haul roads, we've put in a rather intricate system of water management channels and structures in and around the pit to make sure that we can pass clean water through the site. Pre-stripping is ongoing. We actually blasted our first ore in October. I was at site last week and actually got to see a relatively small stockpile of ore already sitting on the pad, even though the plant isn't built yet. So that's exciting. In the processing plant, steel erection for the main body of the processing plant started in October 15th. It's progressing very, very well. A lot of that structure is up, and the site is just getting ready now to install the cladding on that structure and start to enclose that building. Our next major milestone really is the enclosure of that building, which we expect to be complete what we've scheduled it is towards Q2 of next year, and we continue to track against that. The site's been working really well, clean and safe. 3 million man hours or 3 million work hours achieved so far without any lost time injury. The current record is going for 1,100 plus days, and they actually had a celebration on 3 million hours here a couple of weeks ago. So that's exciting. COVID management has been challenging for us, like it has been for anywhere. But I really do believe the Cote site is really an exemplary example of what can be done with good protocols and good discipline. And to date, I really do commend the team on what they've been able to do with COVID. You know, it's a large working site, a lot of working fronts, but it's efficient, it's well coordinated, and you know, there's progress in all areas. You know, we understand what the critical path is, what we need to focus on as we move to execution. We're sort of just now getting through the phase of contracting, getting all the major contracts out there, and then really the next stage is execution on construction, and really starting to ramp up the pit. The camp, for the most part, is all ready to go, and it's exciting. It's a great place to visit, I'll tell you.
Excellent. Very good. Okay, so you announced that the remaining capital to fund your share of the project is around $860 to $910 million. In the current environment with inflationary cost pressures across the industry for miners, how confident are you around the accuracy of this estimate?
we're as comfortable, I think, as any builder can be right now. As you mentioned, there are cost pressures out there, but as I look at that envelope of 860 to 910 million, which is really sort of working from the end of Q3 forward, I see a pretty clear line of sight being able to achieve that. You know, from a liquidity standpoint, we have 750 million in cash at the end of Q3. And another 500 million in an undrawn credit facility against the amounts to be spent. And obviously we're producing gold elsewhere, so we are making money elsewhere. There's no doubt that there's inflationary pressures on construction materials throughout the industry. You know, structural steel, piping, cabling, concrete, and manpower. So as part of our recent reestimate, we examined all of these things and really looked at where our outstanding risks are. We've pre-purchased a significant portion of the steel. We'll be pre-purchasing a significant amount of the electrical cabling here in the next month or so, really to get ahead of those capital outlays. In addition to that, we've signed up, as I mentioned earlier, we've basically, for the most part, completed most of the contracting and ordering of equipment. Purchases were done with the appropriate escalation clauses to protect us. We have secured, as I said, some steel contracts. We've got a comprehensive hedging program in place. Most of our project costs are in Canadian dollars. And we've hedged around 75% of our exposure next year and about 50% of our exposure in 2023 on the CAD US exchange rate. As well, we've hedged nearly 100% of the project's total expected fuel costs. So even with some of the recent inflationary numbers that people are seeing out there, we feel the risk management that we've done so far should allow us to come in within the stated envelope of costs.
Absolutely, that sounds very clear. Okay, well, alongside the technical report for Cote, you announced the maiden resource at Gosselin. Can you take us through this announcement and what Gosselin means for Cote then?
Yeah, so Gosselin was a find by the exploration team up at site. First started announcing results, I believe, a couple of years ago. It's approximately on strike with Cote. It's within 2 kilometers to the east-northeast of Cote. And right now, the initial resource we came out identified 3.4 million ounces in the indicated category and another 1.7 million ounces in the inferred category at Gosselin. So line of sight to 5 million. Because of technical constraints, we haven't completely drilled Gosselin yet. We've only drilled it to about half the depth of Cote, and we know it's open at depth. It is also open on strike, and it sits within a big land package. Cote, we've got 540 square kilometers and a number of other high priority targets that we're looking at. This really, we believe, is a extremely large gold bearing system in a wonderful jurisdiction. The potential to add additional resource delineation in and around Cote and in and around Gosselin and between Gosselin and Cote is high, and we'll be looking to do that over the next little while. What does that offer as an opportunity for Cote? Right now, I spoke about the first 5 years of operation where we operated a higher production rate on higher grade material. With Gosselin coming right to surface, it does provide us potentially opportunity to extend that high grade feed portion beyond the first 5 years and really significantly add value on a discounted basis to the project. Obviously, providing additional resources will add to the mine life. But as well, with every project, every large greenfield project we do, we think about what does the first expansion look like. And some of that thinking has gone into our design. We're not there to spend that money yet, but adding a significant resource like Gosselin on top of Cote will certainly give us a lot of good fodder as we sit back and consider a throughput expansion, hopefully relatively soon after we get started up and improve this operation.
Certainly. Great. Turning to your current operations, gold production has been 448,000 ounces a year, I'm reading, to date, which puts you well on track to meet your full guidance of 565,000 to 605,000 ounces. Could you tell us how your current operations are performing?
Look, it certainly has been a challenging year for us. I and the executive group and the board are very proud of the work that our teams across our operations have done at Essakane, Rosebel, and Westwood. Essakane certainly has been performing well, producing around 315,000 ounces year to date at an all-in sustaining cost of about $10.50 per ounce. We did kick off a mill debottlenecking project, or not kick off, we completed a mill debottlenecking project earlier this year, and we're benefiting from that now and seeing some good throughput. We have had a couple of security incidents in and around Essakane, one in August and one in October that we reported. This is a high-risk part of the country. All of our employees are safe and our operations remain unaffected at this point from a production standpoint. We certainly remain highly committed to the health, safety, and security of our personnel and our operations. And so we've implemented enhanced protection measures for the workforce. We've modified some of our transportation arrangements and done a lot of work on strengthening our threat identification system. And we've been working very closely with the security infrastructure, with the government in the region and nationally to support our operation. And as we move forward, we'll continue to do so and continue to keep a very strong eye on the safety and security of our personnel.
Yeah, absolutely. Vital. Great stuff. So you touched on it just now, though. Could we talk about Rosebel and Westwood and get an update there?
Sure, certainly. At Rosebel, we're ramping up. We certainly had a challenging first half of the year due to the impacts of COVID in the country and the number of productivity impacts on the back of that. And that's on top of an extremely wet first 6 months of 2021. In fact, it's the wettest year we've ever had, or certainly the wettest 6 months we've ever had in Suriname, by quite a wide margin and strongly impacted operations. So Rosebel is produced around 112,000 ounces to the end of Q2. We saw the highest mill throughput in Q3 that we'd seen since the start of the pandemic. So that's exciting. We're doing a little bit of work on the elution circuit at Rosebel and finishing that up in the next while. And I'm very confident that the team we have in place there is doing a good job of starting to get Rosebel back on its feet. At Westwood, the restart of operations that we announced in Q2 is continuing. We're committed to doing things the right way and really putting safety as the ultimate priority, safety of our workers, and that that's the underlying mantra. We are looking at a number of different options, and we do expect to provide an updated 3-year operating plan for Westwood when we announce our 2022 guidance in a couple of months' time.
Excellent. Okay, so you mentioned earlier that your at current gold prices, your share of the Côté project has an NPV of over $1.6 billion, yet your market cap's only $1.5 billion. And it's almost like you're trading as a developer. Yeah, you're on track to produce nearly 600,000 ounces this year. In your view, is there something that's going to bridge this gap?
Yeah, I believe the disconnect is attributed to the scale of Cote in the mind of the investors within the overall scale of the company now. It's a transformational asset. we believe as we move the project forward, de-risking through construction milestones, this disconnect will start to really correct itself as people recognize that it's going to be a reality. And with IAMGOLD, they can really get strong exposure to a tier one multi-generational gold project in a top mining jurisdiction like Canada, with significant upside potential well beyond the 18 years we've identified within the portfolio of an experienced operating company that's been around for several years and has additional assets. You know, when you look at recent activity in the industry, there certainly is a strong premium for these types of assets. And, you know, we're bringing one online in the next 2 years. We don't have to go out and buy it. We just have to build it. And I'm really excited about the prospect. You know, we have to perform, we have to execute, but stay tuned, because we really believe that IAMGOLD has an exciting future ahead of it.
Yeah, excellent, certainly. Well, there we have it. Thank you very much, Gordon, for that extensive update. It's really good to get under the skin of the Côté project and see where the construction is going. And we look forward to keeping abreast of how that develops towards the end of this year or early into next year.
Thank you very, very much. It's been great chatting again.
Yeah, thanks for speaking with Assay TV.